So hello everyone, my name is Divechana Sharma. Welcome to Taksha by MeroSiksha. So today I'll be tutoring on the certain types of questions that are supposed to appear in your examination. So today basically I'll be focusing on reading passage 3, and in your reading passage 3 you will be receiving different sorts of text, like it can either be letter, it can also be stories, it can also be notices. Today I have brought to you a letter, and the title of the letter is Open Letter to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Now let us begin. So whenever we deal with these sorts of unsent text, it's quite difficult for us to find out the answer. So now the question is, how difficult do you guys feel when you have to deal with the unsent passages? So like you guys might easily crack the seen passages, but in order to crack the unseen passages you might find it quite difficult, right? But not to worry, I'll be providing you shortened tips and tricks in order to crack these unseen passages. So now whenever you receive a text, make sure that you have a general idea, you get the general idea about the text. For example, this is a letter. So as you receive a letter, now understand what the text is trying to provide us, what is the general idea. For example, we can see, looking at the structure, we can see that this is a letter, and let us divide now into certain sections. So first thing is, the title is over here, this is a letter, and the letter is to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Now here is the heading. In this heading, the details of the receiver is provided to us. So the letter is sent to His Excellency Antonio Guterres. His affiliation is United Nations Secretary General, and the organization is United Nations Secretariat, which is in 42nd Street, New York, and you can see the information. And here is the date line, and then the subject line is provided, and here is the salutation. Now moving on to the body type. Here we can find body type can be also divided into shortened segments. So body, introductory, and then the body itself, and then the conclusion. So here this one is the introductory section of body. In this, the writer presents the major theme or the thesis statement of sending a letter. So here we can see in the very first line the word congratulations. So we can assume that the sender is congratulating our Antonio Guterres. So moving on, gradually the sender talks about his major argument. So in the second paragraph we can find out our sender is disappointed with some idea. The second paragraph deals with the disappointment, right? And then moving on, in order to support his argument, sender's argument, the sender has presented some of the some spokesperson ideas of a spokesperson as well. So moving on to the last, this one is the conclusion section. Here the conclusion section of the body paragraph itself. And now how are we supposed to recognize that this is the conclusion? Always remember that conclusion is the restatement of the information provided beforehand. So here we can note through the selection of shortened keywords as well. So here in our second last paragraph, we are provided the keyword once again. Secretary General, we congratulate you. In the introductory paragraph, sender began with the congratulation itself, and here now in order to wrap up, he is also congratulating. This provides us the essence that now sender is wrapping up the argument that whatever he presented aforementioned. So now this is the conclusion section, and here is the detail of a sender. So sincerely yours. Who is the sender? Sender is someone associated with the Save the Children Child Rights Connect. We can assume that this person, sender, is concentrated on the child rights, ideas of child rights, or the ideas of child rights, or something related to the child rights. Now, after scanning the major idea of the letter, directly go through the questions. We will not be having enough time to read the paragraph line by line, isn't it? So now what are we supposed to do is we are supposed to go through the questions. So here we are provided with two questions. Question number A is asking us to find out the appropriate words, and the question number B is asking us to answer the question. Now first of all, let us deal with the filling the gaps. So while dealing with the filling the gaps, first of all, let's read the question. We have 5 questions. So in the 5 questions, let us first deal with the first two questions. So in the first question reads, Antonio Guterres holds his office as. So here we are asked to find out the position of Antonio Guterres, who the Antonio Guterres is. So now moving on to the next second question. The writer expresses his dissatisfaction because the inclusion did not address. So now here the question is asking us, question is presenting that the sender or the writer is disappointment. He is not satisfied. So why he is not satisfied? Because of the inclusion did not address. Now we are supposed to know what is not included. So now let us find out here. Let us also mark the keywords dissatisfaction from second number and the keywords Antonio Guterres itself in the first number. Now let us search the answer for the Antonio Guterres. So who is Antonio Guterres? Here we can find Antonio Guterres is Secretary General of United Nations. So what is the position that Antonio Guterres holds? Antonio Guterres holds his office as Secretary General of, here, Secretary General of United Nations. Now, so this was quite easy. Now let us move to the second. So I already marked the keyword dissatisfaction. Now let us search for the word dissatisfaction and along with it also search for the word inclusion. Now okay, search with me. So did you find the word dissatisfaction or the inclusion anywhere in this passage? Let us go to the first passage here. So in the first passage, do you find anything related to the dissatisfaction? I guess no. Now take a time and move to a second paragraph. So did you find the word dissatisfaction itself or the vocabulary related to the dissatisfaction, and also the vocabulary related to the inclusion over here? I found it in the very first line. I found the word disappointed over here, and also I have found something related to the inclusion, inclusion like the word expanded and all. Now let us read the question again. So the question is asking us, the writer expresses his dissatisfaction because the inclusion did not address. So inclusion is not addressing something. So what is the inclusion not addressing, or who are excluded? Now let us find out. So let us read the very first line from the second paragraph. We are disappointed, however, that you have not expanded this list of young climate leaders to children in all their diversity. Who are not included or who are excluded here? So the excluded part are the children in all their diversity. So this question passes us the insight that Antonio Guterres made young climate leaders, but in that leaders he have not included children of all ages. He has limited the age, that is age 18 to 28 only. So now here the correct answer would be, the writer expresses dissatisfaction because inclusion did not address children in all their diversity. Now here the answer would be children in all their diversity. So is it clear? Are you getting me? Now let us move to question number 3. Now the third question talks about the ways out that the demonstrator presented. So here ways out refers to, or the ways out means solutions. So you might not receive the same vocabulary ways out in the passage, or you are supposed to search for vocabularies that are similar to the provided keywords. So here let us mark ways out as one keyword and also the demonstrator as the another keyword. Now let us move to our passage and let us find out. So yeah, let us find out. Let us go through the first paragraph and then move to the second paragraph. Did you find our keyword ways out or the demonstrator in the first paragraph? I don't see any of the keywords, matching keywords here in the first one. Now let us move to the second paragraph. So did you find any? So okay. So I found out a word solution that is somehow related to ways out, and also I found something related to demonstrated, that is demonstrated. Now let us read this line. So millions of children took part in school strikes for climate action in 2019 and early 2020 and demonstrated their outrage and constructive solutions in equal measure. So we got this idea, but now what is the question asking us to find out? The question is asking us to find out what were the ways out that demonstrator presented. What were they are like in this question is asking us to find out some of the actions performed by the demonstrators, right? So now let us read the line again. So they have been agents of change in climate debate using their channels of influence, schools, social media and street protests to catalyze global activism on the climate crisis. So did you find out something after reading this line? Did you? So we are supposed to figure out the actions that the demonstrator presented. So now let us read the question again. So the ways out that the demonstrators presented were, what were the ways outs? So the ways outs were, number 1, the engagement in street protest. Next, social media as well. And also I found out their engagement with the corporate and the political leaders and engagement with leaders. So our answer includes 3 actions. The ways out that the demonstrator presented were engagement in street protests and also the social media engagement and the engagement with the leaders. So the leaders, to be specific, the leaders were political as well as the leaders were political as well as corporate. So now let us find out the answer for number 4. If the determination is weak, the action of turning the results into recovery of the climate will be like ship with a dash. So here let us mark the keyword determination, also another keyword weak and also another keyword recovery. So being based on 3 different keywords, determination, weak and recovery, let us find out the words, these words in the passage up and then find out the answer. So if the determination is weak, let us find out these keywords. So let us again begin with the second paragraph. Did you find any keywords connected to the determination over here? Yes? So now let us move to the another paragraph if you didn't get any. So did you find any similar words related to the determination over here? Okay, I can see some words related to determination over here in our third paragraph. I can see the word commitments. I can also see the word net zero. I can also see recovery. So I have found it. I guess you guys also got it. So now let us move to the question again. So what is the question asking? If the determination is weak, the act of turning the results into recovery of the climate will be like sheep with a dash. So these sorts of questions falls on. So these sorts of question, the question number 4 falls under a segment of inference. So whenever you are provided a question, so the questions that are provided to you are also divided into particular segments. So they are literal comprehension, next is reorganization, third one is inference, and the last one is evaluation. Literal comprehension and reorganization are the easier one. You are just supposed to know general idea. You are just asked general idea like who, what, where, sorts of questions are asked. But when you move to the third section, that is inference, inference is something you are supposed to find out the answer of something that is not explicitly presented in the text. That is, in order to answer the questions that falls under the category of inference, you must be using your understanding to the fullest. So that is, the answer must not be best only in the passage, but rather answer should also be best on your understanding. So now let us we have already find out the words. Now let us understand the actual essence that the question number 4 is trying to ask us. So question number 4 is asking us to know what happens if the determination is weak. So if the determination is weak, the act of turning results into recovery of climate change will be like sheep with a. So it is indicating something to us, the destruction. What happens when sheep happens to like sheep the captain of a ship is not quite determined to the destination he should be focusing on, he should be moving on. So of course obstruction comes. So here as well, what happens if we are not much determined to recover the condition of the climate? So it will create difficulty, right? So now let us read the keywords that we have marked up over here. So the future of children is at stake now. Tomorrow will be too late. Children like Fabrizio are vocal in their anxiety that our dash to economic recovery will scupper climate change at net zero commitment. So the word scupper here is itself providing us the insight that something difficulty or some obstruction will occur if our determination goes weaker. So now we should be writing over here. So now if the determination is weak, the act of turning the results into recovery of a climate will be like sheep with something. What happens if the sheep is obstructed? So what sort of condition occurs when sheep happens to be facing difficulty? Of course, whenever some materials, some significant materials in the sheep are broken out, right? So now, being based on your understanding and reading the text, you can write your own vocabulary. You can select your own vocabulary that matches the idea. So now, if the determination is weak, the act of turning the results into recovery of the climate will be like sheep with a broken materials. Now, the last question from the fill in the blanks. The inclusion he proposes for the involvement of children must be. Here the keywords is inclusion and he refers to the sender, and also another keyword involvement of children. Let us find out the word inclusion and involvement of children up over here. So do you find out the word similar to word inclusion or the involvement of children, or word similar vocabulary related to these words and the phrases? So let us go to our second last paragraph and let us find out, let us search for the words involvement of a children. So involvement can also be connected to the idea of engagement. And also another keyword that we marked is inclusion. Did you find the word inclusion over here? So I have found over here. So now let us read the lines. So we ask, however, that it be inclusive of children and adolescents younger than 18, respecting their rights to be heard and to contribute their expertise directly. So what the question is asking us, the inclusion he proposes for the involvement of children must be what? So the inclusion must be respecting their right to be heard and to contribute their expertise directly. So the correct answer here would be respecting their right to be heard and to contribute their expertise daily. Now as we are done with the number A, we already searched the appropriate words. So now let us move to the second question, that is answer the following questions. So the question number 1 here is asking us to find out the expression RE in the text mean. So this sort of question is also connected to the idea literal comprehension. The question is asking us to find out what does the expression RE mean in the provided text, and the text here provided to us is a letter, and here RE is placed in the line in a we can also regard this as a subject line. So here the expression RE is referring something to regarding the subject. Now let us move to the another question. So what does the phrases global north and global south refer to? Now here as well we are asked to provide the meaning of the global north and global south, the phrases global north and global south. Let us find out these two phrases up over here in the passage. So did you find out? Now let us search for a while. Did you find here in the first paragraph the word global north and global south? So okay, I found it here in the second passage, global north and the global south. So now again let us read the line. We have seen children from the global north to the global south engaging with political and corporate leaders in their home countries and also within the international system, most recently at the UN Human Rights Council, claiming their right to a safe, clean, healthy and sustainable environment. So I guess we are not able to receive any of the insights related to global north and the global south. So this question also falls under the category of inference itself, because here being based on your understanding regarding what global north and global south is, you are supposed to answer. So here by reading the line up there, we can have an insight that global north and global south refers to some regions that are in the world, or we can understand it in a way that there are certain countries that falls under the global north and the global south. So global north, talking about the global north talks about the countries that are much developed in terms of economy and other developmental sectors. So regions in the world that are developed in terms of economy, and global south refers to regions or countries that are less developed, or you can say they are in a developing phase. So global north refers to the region in the world that are much developed in terms of economy and also the developmental sectors, whereas global south refers to the region in the world that are yet to be developed, or you can say they are in a developing stage. So now let us move to the another question. So the question is asking us to know who stated no one is too small to make a difference. Here, as no, this statement is provided under the quotation mark, we can have an insight that this is the statement spoken by someone. So now we are supposed to search who the spokesperson is. Now let us find out in which section our sender has presented the ideas of the spokesperson. So in order to recognize the ideas presented by spokesperson, what you can do is you can search for the inverted commas first. So I can find the inverted comma in the third paragraph. Now let us go through the statement presented over there and let us align with the statement provided us in a question. So here the statement reads, we prove that it does not matter what you do and that no one is too small to make a difference. So here this statement aligns with our question. So the question is asking us to find out who is the one who stated this idea. No one is too small to make a difference. So here who is the one who stated this idea? So we can find out in our third last paragraph over here. So who is the person who stated this idea? The person is Greta Thunberg. So Greta Thunberg is the one who talks about the idea that no one is too small to make a difference. Now let us move to our another question, that is, what are the two necessary actions for using information purposefully? Now what happens, what necessary action occurs if we happen to use information with a proper sense of purpose? Now mark this information purposefully as the keywords over here, and then also search for the actions that happens or something that occurs when you use information purposefully. So here let us move up and then see, let us find out the keywords purpose or the information. Now let us go through our second last paragraph and then the last paragraph. So did you find word like information and the purpose in our second last paragraph? So I don't see any over here. So let us move to the last paragraph. So yeah, I found purpose over here, which is somehow connected to the idea of purposefully, and also the information. Now let us read the line and find out whether this matches with our idea or not. So if the last 2 years have taught us anything, it is that children armed with information and a sense of purpose have a unique role to play by participating in decision making processes and in combating crises with constructive solutions. So what are the two actions that occurs when we use information purposefully? So the two actions that occurs when the information are used purposefully are none other than participating in decision making processes, this one, and then another is combating crisis with constructive solutions. So two ideas, necessary or the significant actions happens when we use information purposefully are, number one, we will be able to participate in decision making processes, and another is we will be able to combat crisis with constructive solutions. So now let us move to the very last question of this reading passage, and the question says, who is the writer of the letter more concerned about in case of the inclusion? Now we are supposed to focus on who the sender over here is, who is the writer, who is more concerned in this case of inclusion, who is talking about that Antonio Guterres failed to include certain ideas or the certain group of people. So now we know that the sender always provides the information at the end of the letter. We can also regard this as a complementary clause in which we provide the information of a sender. So sincerely yours, Save the Children, Child Rights Connect. So the writer of the letter is more concerned about, in the case of inclusion, is someone associated with the organization Save the Children, and he is or he or she is associated with the idea of Child Rights Connect. So I hope I made you guys clear, and I made you guys easier on how to crack these sorts of on-scene passages when it appears in your examination. So keep practicing. See you soon.